The Expert Success Summit. Experts sharing their secrets for your success. And now, here's your host, Sydney O'Sullivan.
Hello, everyone. It's Sydney O'Sullivan at the Expert Success Summit with Melody Keymer Harper. Welcome, Melody.
Well, thank you. Nice to be with you, Sydney.
Very exciting to have Melody here because she is a very experienced, so many things. She's a motivational speaker, author, entertainer, radio, TV host, and coach with over 30 years of experience teaching successful communication strategies to not only business professionals, but also entrepreneurs, educators, college students, and actors. She's designed programs and delivered hundreds of seminars and trainings globally to thousands of people in all levels of business. Aside from acting in the movie Double Trouble with Elvis Presley, Melody has also shared the stage and screen with some of the biggest speaking giants like Brian Tracy, Dennis Waitley, Les Brown, and Mark Victor Hansen, and celebrities including Johnny Carson, Betty White, Bill Cosby, Jenny Garth, Mickey Rooney, Debbie Reynolds, Jason Priestley, and many more. In her books Ready, Aim, Influence, Quantum Leap My Life, Double Trouble Transformation System for Women, and her soon-to-be-released Ignite Your Inner Star, Melody shares how her life experience and working with celebrities not only helped her manage her fear of public speaking, it created her passion for teaching people how to overcome their fears, deliver their message with confidence, and achieve high-performance results. Melody's 9-step system for maximum impact communication and coaching programs transform people from being mediocre to highly successful superstars in their career, in the media, on stage, and in life. So welcome and tell us all about what you've been doing, and you've been so productive this year.
Oh, thank you. Thank you for having me on, Sydney. I really appreciate it.
Thank you for being a part of the summit. It's really exciting to have you here.
Well, it's my pleasure. A lot of exciting things have been happening for me. I have, as you know, I have a twin sister, and the two of us had our programs, and right now she is doing something else temporarily, so I am doing something on my own. So I've created a new program that I love, and it's doing what we always did, but now by myself. And so I'm kind of coming up with my own identity, and part of that is going through igniting your inner star. And that is something that my sister and I had worked with for so many years, and now I'm helping individually with that. And I love it.
We should probably give people a little bit of background who don't know you, and that is that you have been in the entertainment industry really most of your life, haven't you?
Well, since we were 3 years old, yes.
And not just the entertainment industry, but Hollywood. Like, you were making movies, you were singing at the USO. You have really done the full gamut: radio, TV, movies, stages. Tell us about that.
Well, that started when we were 3 years old. Our mom put us in a local contest, and we sang "I Love You, a Bushel and a Peck." If you remember that song. Do you remember that one, Sydney?
No.
Anyway, we sang this, and we won a great big huge bag of groceries, and it was just a lot of fun. And then she put us in other contests, and we kept winning, and she thought, whoa, there's something to this. By the time we were 10 years old, we became professional, which means we started getting paid for what we were doing. And we started doing different film work, different TV programs, different variety shows, and doing performances. And like you said, the USOs, we were doing a lot of USOs up and down the country, all up and down California, Oregon, Washington, and around the different states. And during that time, we were young, and it would have been nice to go with Bob Hope across the seas, but we were too young for that. And so we did the USOs that were local, and I loved it. To me, there's nothing better than entertaining for the veterans and for people. They're so receptive, and they're just so appreciative, and they're just great people. We love them so much. But it was really funny because when we were 10, I also remember being on stage, and for some reason, my name is Melody, and I sang the melody. Marilyn, we should have called her Harmony. She sang the harmony, and I would sing the solo parts. And I remember singing a McGuire song that was Sugar Time. Do you remember that song, Sugar Time?
Uh-huh.
Well, it was a fun song, and it came time for my solo, and for some reason I froze and knew in my heart I did not want to sing that song. I did not want to sing that solo, and I nudged my sister, and we're really pretty good about understanding where we're coming from without even having to say anything. We have a real bond there that we kind of read each other. And so with that, she understood immediately that, she is not going to sing that solo. And so I got the little nudge back from her. In other words, she wasn't going to do it either. And I nudged harder, letting her know, I really am serious. You better take over. And she nudged back, and I thought, okay, if she doesn't do it, I'm going to stand there and I'm going to just clap my hands as if it's just an instrumental little part. And I was fine doing with her singing, but not by myself at that moment. And bless her little heart, she came through and she actually sang that. But that was the first time I ever really connected with the fear of knowing what it was to be on stage and wondering what people thought. I froze up and I didn't know what came over me. And I thought, this is very odd. And then to acting, and we were in a pilot called the Jackson Twin series, and that was with, I don't know if you remember this one, but he's way back, but he used to do John Wayne movies, and his name was Dennis O'Keefe. He played the father, our father in the role, and then Jan Clayton, who played the mother on Lassie, played our mother, and we had such a great time doing this pilot that we did called the Jackson Twin series. We were the twins, and I remember the directors and the producers were very, very protective of us, and because we were pretty much brought up as the girls next door in the same route that all students would be going to school, and being the cheerleaders and doing what normal teenagers or elementary, whatever the age was, we were just brought up like all the other girls in the neighborhood, not the Hollywood scene. And so the producers took us under their wings, and they would really try to make sure that we stayed sheltered, not got into not getting into that Hollywood scene. And I remember something that they said. Every time we did something, it was like a learning lesson, Sydney. It was wonderful because they were telling us, watch what you say, how you act, and what you do. Because they were saying the walls have ears. And wherever you go, people are listening and they're watching and they're judging. So it's be careful. So we were learning lessons as we went along for how to appear for people, how to present yourself, how to have that confidence, how to speak, how to have eye contact, all the different things that were making a difference for you seeming like you had the credibility and confidence to be on stage or in front of people. And I remember when we were in the movie with Elvis Presley, Double Trouble, and it was really great because Elvis would always say, oh, you two, here comes double trouble. And he was really great with us. But I remember him saying, too, because when he went on stage, it was like, oh, this is exciting, that he used to get nervous. And he would say at that time, if you're not nervous, then there is something wrong. You're not going to do well. It says you need to be nervous, but you need to know how to control those nerves and let them work for you. And I notice, and you probably do this too, whenever you talk, you get nervous, but you still are able to pull it through because you know your material. And that's where a lot of people fall back, is they don't know their material. And I've learned that through growing up, and I've learned that through talking to a lot of my mentors, that it makes a difference. As long as you know your material, you have your passion, you're prepared, you've practiced, you should be okay getting out there and let those nerves, move you forward. So you said Johnny Carson. Johnny Carson was another mentor for us. That was my second real big time when I actually froze. We went on the Johnny Carson show, and I remember Ernest Borgnine sitting there and Gabe Kaplan, and we're standing there, and all of a sudden he's asking us questions. Johnny asks us these different questions, and I could not think of a thing to say. All I could think of was smile and nod my head. And I was like, uh-huh. And then afterwards, my sister said, what was that all about? I just completely froze when I saw that little red light there staring at me. I didn't know what to do. So in front of millions, I'm thinking, oh, my big moment, and I blow it. So I didn't realize this. And then Johnny was saying as well to us that he's very introverted. I don't know if you know that, if these people know that Johnny Carson on The Tonight Show was very introverted. He wouldn't appear that way. And so they overcame it through singing and through being a comedian. But privately, they were more isolated. They were more to themselves. So I learned a lot of lessons on the way, and that helped me today because today now I use that in the things that I do, because people ask me all the time, you're always so confident when you get out and speaking. This is natural for you. Communication is natural. No, communication is a learned thing. And some people are more natural in it than others. Some people have to learn it to become natural. And that's where I help them, to teach them to really how to gain that confidence, to feel comfortable on stage or feel comfortable one-on-one. It doesn't matter if you're in a boardroom. It doesn't matter if you're at a meeting or if you're talking one-on-one. That's public speaking, or in the media or on a video. So having confidence and being prepared is a huge, huge difference on making a difference in the impact you have.
And you're designing a public speaking training, right? You're going to be offering a live event?
Yeah, I do have one coming up in May. It's a 2-day event that's coming up that's going to be very, very impactful for people that want to make a difference for themselves in their lives. So many people come to me, they know what they have, they know their product, they know their business, they know what they want to do, but they just don't know how to convey that and to get the message out there. And so that's what I help them, is to gain their confidence, overcome their fears, to get the message and to be able to deliver that message in an impactful way that will grab the attention of any audience, and it builds their clientele, and then attracts more people to them business-wise. So it grows their business. And that will be coming up in May that I'm having, and I'm also having some webinars that will be before that.
Yeah, tell us about your webinar series what are you going to be teaching people in those?
Those ones, I have a couple different ones that I'm doing. One of those is called MAPS. And what that is mindset, attitude, and purpose, which will equal success for you. And so that is a program I'm doing. So it's like your guiding force to help you get that inner self out and understand what your mindset is all about and how that can change and make a difference for you if you have the appropriate mindset and the appropriate attitude to come out with the message that you really want to get across. And then the other one that I'm doing also is your 9 steps. So it's one that's 9 steps for impact communication. And my 9 steps is geared towards star power. And I use that acronym for star power. So it's a pretty powerful one for that particular webinar as well.
So tell us about your 9-step system. What's involved with your 9-step system?
Oh, that's a big one. The 9 steps, like when you're having your star power, your inner side, you need to figure out what it is that you really want. What is your passion? What is your purpose? What are your goals? What is it, the direction you want to go in? And so I help people with understanding their message, how to communicate it, how to set the goals to reach what they want to do, to get their message out in a way that is going to be not only productive for others, but for themselves, and to build relationships. And it's all about communication. There is verbal communication and nonverbal, as we know. And a big part of that is listening. And so many people want to do nothing but talk, and be interested instead of be interesting, you might say, where they're trying to have people interested in them instead of being interested in other people. And the biggest part of it is building a relationship. And I remember a good friend of ours, Jonathan Sprinkles, who always said, people are not going to listen to you until they know you care about them. Then they'll listen to what you have to say because they know you care. And so building the relationship in counseling and teaching that I do, and in the coaching that I do as well, I really want to build that relationship, and that trust to me is the number one thing. If you don't have the trust in a relationship, then you need to move on to somebody else. It's not working. And so communication is very powerful.
And actually, we've never mentioned either that you went and became a qualified teacher after you left the industry, the Hollywood industry. Mm-hmm. But you've always stayed active, though, within your community, right? But you actually became a qualified teacher and career counselor.
Yes, I actually have a bachelor's degree in psychology and a master's degree in career development and community counseling, and 2 teaching credentials, one teaching and one for counseling. And I'm actually a counselor in a college, a community college. So I'm an academic, career, and personal counselor, and I also instruct for like career exploration and academic planning, stress management, helping people guide themselves through what direction they want through college and through a career. And many of them do not know what they want to do. And so it's helping them to understand, again, what is your passion? What's the direction you want to go in? And so I really do a lot of assessments and finding out what their interests are, their personalities, their skills and values. And I put it together as a profile. and give them suggestions on which direction they might want to choose for themselves. But basically, what is your passion? And so many people come in, they don't really know what it is they want to do or what they want as a major. And I'll go back and say, what did you do when you were little? What are the kind of things that you liked playing at? And it doesn't mean you want to play in a tree, but maybe you like playing, maybe you like working outdoors, or you like working with your hands, or maybe you were inside playing as if you were a nurse or doctor. So maybe that's what you want to do when you get older, is be a nurse or a doctor, or be in a caring profession. So a lot of times our clues are way from back from when we were younger.
So it's actually been really interesting because you and I have been working together on your brand, and you've been one of the contributors for the Quantum Leap My Life book, and she's actually going to give you guys her chapter from the Quantum Leap book because it was so good. I asked her if she would release it as a bonus. She really goes into a lot of this in depth, all these things that she can teach you. But one of the things that I found really interesting, I think, you're talking about how people don't know what they want, but with you, you had so many talents that we had to decide which was going to be the one that you were going to launch as a business, right? And that's
Yes.
another area where people get really confused was you've had so much experience in your life in areas that could help people that for you, the challenging thing was which one will I actually turn into, my trainings, right?
No, that's so true. And you get so many people that, well, just like in the counseling, people will come, half know what they want to do, and half usually are undeclared. They have no idea. And then the ones that are very unsure about what they want is because they are very eclectic. They have so many different interests. It's like, where do I start? And that's kind of where I was, because I had so many different interests, so many different areas that I excelled in, and I knew that the biggest part was whatever I did was always wrapped around people and helping people. Whatever it had to do, it had to be that I was helping people make a difference in their own life, in their successes, to help them be a better person or have a better life and help other people too. I just wanted to be in service, in some way to be in service. And so finding out, a big part of it was everybody kept coming to me and saying, how do you do this in speaking? How do you feel comfortable? I'm not comfortable at all speaking. And I realized, well, wow, that is something that I can really help them with because I've experienced it, number one. I've lived it, number two. And it's something all around me as I'm speaking every day. And so I figured that is where I can probably put my best effort right now, is helping people feel good about themselves, make it different with the impact and the information they have to give to get the best message they can out there in the best way they can, so that they can not only be of service for as well.
And so how did you find that the market reacted once you started launching the program? You only just launched it a little while ago, and you got a really great response, didn't you?
Yes, I did. Thank you for saying that, because I really did. People are really kind of crying in for it. And because they know that they're going to come out differently in the end, and they already have. And my coaching clients they're just amazed, and they just keep saying, I wasn't expecting this. I'm getting so much more than I even expected. And that's what I hope for everybody, because I want to give more than what anybody ever expects, more than they think they're going to get, because many people don't realize how much they have inside of them that they can pull out themselves to give to other people.
And actually, you're working on an area that we've found is a big problem too, and that's the whole message. Like this is a very, very busy and overloaded world that we're living in now. There's information coming at us from every direction. And so what's becoming more and more important for businesses and for everyone, really, even as any author or authority in their niche, is to be very clear in how they're different and how they stand out, right?
Oh, absolutely. You always have that USP, that your unique selling proposition, the USP that you need, which means you're different from anybody else. What makes you stand out from anybody else? And everybody has something unique. Everybody. In my courses that I teach, I always let them know that there's one thing that they should really find out about themselves that is different. Really discover what that is, because they don't think they have anything. And then we go through an exercise, and boy, all of a sudden they realize, wow, I guess this is a little different from what somebody else has. I can produce that.
And it's hard to see that in yourself, isn't it? Sometimes when you're in it, you're too close to it.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. And it does help to have that second person that really looks in over your shoulder and says, wait, there it is. That's it. That's your unique. I remember being on this one interview that I did on a radio show. It actually was with Vicki Winterton for the book that I just, that was launched, my Ready Aim influence book that went to bestseller within 12 hours on Amazon.
Congratulations to all of you. Mm-hmm.
Thank you. I appreciate that. And I know our Quantum Leap, too, is going to be doing exactly the same thing.
Let's hope so. Hey, everybody, go and buy our book. Go buy our book, Quantum Leap My Life. It's really, it's wonderful. We put some really big chapters in there for some amazing people that some of them you'll be meeting during the summit. So help us take it to number one.
Oh, absolutely. This, to me, the Quantum Leap My Life book really has a big impact in each of the chapters for people to benefit from. And they're more condensed in each of those chapters. So there's a lot of meat in them, a lot of good things that you can get out. I love the book. I think it's fabulous.
People really put a lot of work into those chapters to give their best strategies. So, but tell us, you were on an interview with Vicki from Ready Aim Influence. And what were you saying about USPs and...
Well, and afterwards, she made a comment to me. Yeah, she was saying, she says, well, this is what's so unique about me. And I said, what is that? And she said, it is that the uniqueness about you, because I always attributed before, my uniqueness was being with my twin sister, which is unique in itself, and that we entertained as well. But the unique things that she was saying is how I was actually telling people that they can make a difference in their presentations, how they can convey their message, how they can really attract all these audiences and clients and have major business growth because of the way I handle the conversations that I have with using my celebrity background that people do not have, and in a way that's a little different because I really get into the conversation of it, the relationship of it. Whereas a good portion of people go into maybe facts instead of really the stories. I have so many stories that I tell with all the celebrity background that I have on stage and working with people. One of my favorites is working with Mickey Rooney. And what I learned from him, just not being on stage, but how to be professional, the way he handled himself. And that I tell in my 2-day events, and I tell in the different webinars that I have. So people can hear that when they go to that. It's really very helpful for others to help them get through stage that you don't want to do. So I teach people how to do things that maybe from my mistakes will help them improve and not do for themselves. And it makes a difference. But she pointed that out to me, which I really, because I had my identity locked into being a twin, I did not realize thinking, but you have your own identity as well. And you have your own uniqueness. And she was right.
Yeah, so you've actually got an insider perspective that you learned from some of the champions international champions in the industry. And you're able to take from that the best of what they taught you and apply it to your own life and then help others to apply it to theirs.
Yes, I've been very fortunate with that.
So what's next for you from here?
Well, right now I have my events coming up, and I'm putting together a CD because the music is a big part of my life too, and I want to do an inspirational CD album with singing for people that can use to help them. I have different programs that I'm going to help with people for feeling good about themselves, and then just uplifting songs too. And then also because of my background, my church background, I really love being in the choir, so I will have a spiritual one as well. So that's going to make a difference for me too. But I really want to continue doing the coaching, and I have quite a few clients, and I am starting a mastermind program at this point. So that is going to be a upcoming new mastermind that I'm going to put together. And then the events that I have. The 2-day event is going to make a huge difference because it's not only giving information, it's not the what's, it's the how-tos and put together right then and there. So it's more of an experiential. When people go away from that 2-day, they are going to not only have the information, but they are going to feel so much better about themselves, feel that confidence, have put it to actual preparation and for themselves so that they are prepared to go out and really make a difference just by those 2 days that we have together. So they have experiential program with it.
How can people get into your programs? And you're going to get people to come to one of your sites?
Yes, I do have my Melody Keymer Harper site that is almost up and ready. We've had to replenish it.
Yeah, we should probably, we'll put the link up, but for people who are listening, it's Melody, Melody,
Melody,
And then Keymer Harper, so KeymerHarper.com.
Yes. And you can also go on to Facebook. Please friend me on Facebook and LinkedIn. I appreciate that. And I have a fan page there also that is called Ignite Your Inner Star, that I'd love to have any kind of questions. I'll be happy to answer questions and concerns. And you'll see all the different events and programs that are coming up on there as well.
So, Melody, what advice do you have for people who are just breaking into speaking and being an author?
I would say, is this really your passion? Is it what you really want? And if it is, then you need to make sure before you go out there that you are preparing. I have the 9P program that I work, and it's telling you how to really get yourself ready to do speaking. Book. Now, the book for us was hard. Oh my gosh, it took forever until we learned the appropriate steps. And then it was really great, and it happened fast once it happened. And that's easy, and I can go through that with them to tell them how to do that. But as far as getting out and speaking, the 9 steps that I have is going to help them with the 9 Ps is on preparing. It's practicing. You need that persistence. You need a powerful message. And go through the other P's when they come to my site. And I'll give those. I will give those as a gift for people.
So, as far as breaking into the industry, I mean, you and I have talked about there's just so many things that you could teach people. As far as like we found, can you still hear me?
Yes, I can.
Yeah, sorry, we're having some audio issues, but we found that there were people who wanted to learn how to become actors. There were people who wanted just to know how do you find the right agents. There's so many areas. Like how do people, what do you think is the best place to start when you want to become a celebrity or an authority in your area?
Well, and I have a program called Blueprint for Actors as well, that is for people that are just wanting to get started out in the business. And that has a lot of different things that'll have resources for getting out into the industry. You eventually want to get into Screen Actors Guild or Screen Children's Guild, but the Screen Actors Guild is the professional, which is also connected now with AFTRA. They've merged. And I'm in Screen Actors Guild, a member, and SAG and AFTRA. Equity and AGVA. So I do the whole gambit. And I can help them with figuring out exactly that they need to have a resume that's a theatrical resume. And there's a different way when you're starting up how you can actually make that resume look still viable. Getting out there in local little theaters in your area, getting on stages in local theaters, getting local TV programs. There's different TV shots you can get into. So there's local things that you can do to get your portfolio built up. Getting a sizzle reel that shows if you're not having anything, you can have a script where you're actually doing a role play by yourself, a monologue or with somebody else, but that you actually video yourself so they can see how you would do acting. So there's different things that you can have to actually get an agent, because you'll not only need an agent, but you need to have that sizzle reel, and you need to know where the casting directors are, how to go about getting casting directors. And a lot of people will start out even going into being an extra. And there is the union extra and there's a non-union extra. And most people, when you come in, you have to go non-union, and there's waivers by the time you get through to get that card for a SAG card, which is your Screen Actors Guild. And those get you principal parts. So a lot of different information on that. There's just, it's very technical.
Now, you're going to be running a radio show too, right? Will you be covering some of this stuff in your radio show?
Yes, I will. And that should be coming up shortly. And that's going to be on the Rockstar Radio Network. And it's called Ignite Your Inner Star. And I do gear towards celebrities, authors, speakers, and professional people that come on there. So it's a high impact program that we have. And very similar to the show that my sister and I had, which was Double Trouble Talk Radio. And it is all about the communication and how to make a difference with the message you come across with. And that's whether it's as an actor, that's whether you're a corporate person and you're corporate, as a management or a supervisor, giving a meeting, a team building, or if you're just wanting to have a relationship with somebody, helping you with all those communication skills.
So what are your top tips for success? Like, having been a teacher, being a careers counselor, you've covered some of them, But what do you see people consistently getting wrong in life, and what would be your advice to get on the right track?
I see people that when they're wanting to get out and make a difference for themselves, they're pretty much going out and all they're doing is talking about themselves instead of listening to other people. And I think if you really want to connect with people, I love Dale Carnegie and on How to Win Friends and Influence People. If you haven't read that, it's a fabulous book. And also Norman Peale, that I love The Power of Positive Thinking. And so many people are not using the skills that are in both of those books. And part of that, again, is being interested in what the other person has to say instead of trying to be interesting. And I think when you go to networking programs or when you start talking to people, most people, all they want to do is talk about themselves. You don't learn when you do that. You learn when you listen to other people. And you know what? People love you when you listen to them. And they think you're a great communicator because they think that you're so interested in them that they like you. People don't like people that are just doing nothing but monopolizing the conversation all the time. You need to take a breath and let somebody else get in there too. And I love that old saying, God gave us 2 ears and 1 mouth, so we listen twice as much as we speak. Makes a huge difference.
Actually, my advice for that, because I used to be quite the chatterbox, and I still can be, but learning how to interview people is a really good way of learning how to listen. So, get a radio show like you're doing, or start doing, webinars and summits like this, where you get to bring on really interesting people and get some experience actually shutting up and listening. It was a good skill for me to learn.
Oh, absolutely.
And I completely
totally
agree with you. Yeah. That it does bond you to the other person too.
Well, it does. And also, Sydney, some people will go on radio shows. I've talked to many of my friends that have their radio shows now because I've advised them get your help on getting your confidence because they are so afraid. And a good portion of your actors, and people don't realize this, are very introverted. They're very nervous and afraid of to be speaking. It's very strange for some people when you think about these actors that seem like they're so polished, so confident. They don't have a lot of confidence. And sometimes you'll hear them on talk shows and you'll think, whoa, is that the person that was in that movie that I just saw? And because they're introverted. And a lot of them take that position of acting because they feel like they can get out of their own skin, their own body, take on another character, and they're comfortable with that. And Johnny said that, Johnny Carson. That's where he felt he was comfortable doing comedy because he could have people laugh with him. And that way he didn't feel awkward. He felt comfortable about it because he was pleasing people. And at the same sense, he wasn't himself. He was a comedian instead of being himself. Off stage, he wasn't that comedian. He was very quiet.
Tell me about like Betty White. Like she's been probably one of the longest successful actors, on TV. Would you, having worked with her, I've seen her like on talk shows and stuff, and she seems to just be such a consummate professional.
She is incredible. Now, I have to say, when I knew Betty White was years and years and years and years ago, and I actually worked with her when she was doing a project. I happened to be, this was in my young age, when I happened to be the queen of the Artists and Models Ball, and that was in the Hollywood's Artists and Models Ball. And I remember being on stage doing a fashion show that she had put on, and this was for animals. Okay, this is how she's big into the animal rights and helping your little furry friends. And so she had put on a fundraiser, and big stars. I was with Connie Stevens and Doris Day, all these different people that we were on stage together modeling. And Betty White was the one who originated, and she was the narrator of the whole thing. And that's how I worked with Betty White. I would love to be in a film with her one day. That would be great.
Well, she's
like her joke show.
She's just amazing. She's still on TV all the time, and that was one thing that I noticed when I saw her in a documentary, and they were saying she said that she just always took a very professional attitude to her work and kept getting asked back to do other shows. So
yeah, she's a very hard worker. She is she's funny. She is funny, and she's very caring, but she is a taskmaster.
So what do you see, having worked with all these amazing people, Elvis, Jonathan Sprinkles, Betty White, Jason Priestley, all these amazing people that have achieved very high levels, what do you see as the success traits that seem to be, significantly common among people that are reach the top of the tree?
I think the biggest thing is they have a feeling that this is their calling, that they have the passion within them that says, I would do this no matter what. I don't care if I get paid. This is what I breathe. That I love it and I feel good about it, and I know I'm making other people feel good as well. So I think that they have the whole relationship of it for themselves and to help them with other people, making them happy with whatever they're doing out there. The singing, making people through singing, maybe people through their acting, so that people can live during that moment in the scene with these people. But they are very, very passionate about what they're doing. They're very, very connected in their own inner being that this is what makes them fulfilled. And in doing so, it makes everybody else fulfilled because obviously what they're doing is working to make people happy.
Well, you bring up an interesting point because I've known you about a year now, and you have had to deal with one obstacle after another, and you have just persisted. And talk to us about that. What that whole thing of being able to be persistent and just know you're on path.
Well, I think that you just have to keep that positive attitude. I was very blessed, Sydney, with having such a family that was so positive and so loving and caring. And I think that has made a huge difference because they always stress the importance of how you are with other people, how you act, the eye contact you have, remembering people's names because that makes them feel important, and being positive. And I remember it's do unto others as you would have them do unto you. And that was always a big stress. In other words, do the right thing. Always be really good. And from what we talked about earlier, there is something that I did more recently because out of respect for somebody that I care about, that was more important for them for this one issue, for me to back away from it. And I did because I respect that person. And so it's understanding what you need to do at the right time and go ahead and do it. And then own it and move on and realize that something better is going to happen and it's all positive. It all comes out at the end. So not to worry about it. And even though sometimes that's hard to do, you have to keep thinking positively because negativity only brings you down. And I remember, Les Brown, the motivational speaker.
Mm-hmm.
I love Les. And I remember him saying, and I use this in my classes a lot, and his video, You Deserve, that I think is fabulous. But I remember him saying that it takes 13 to 16 positive things said to a person to negate one negative thing that somebody has been, said. Like if somebody says something negative to you, it takes like those 13 or 16 positive strokes to make you feel better. That's how negativity pulls us down. So I really, really emphasize the consciousness of being positive and having self-affirmation so you feel better about yourself. If you are the negative one, then you need to really work on yourself to get out of that negativity. If you are around people that are negative, you need to either explain to them that this is not productive for you, and if they continue the negativity, it's toxic. Get them out of your life. Move on because it's toxic. It's not non-productive.
So, what's your recipe for you? You just believe that you're on path and that you just have to keep finding a way around the obstacles?
Oh, absolutely. If there's a door closed, you open another door. Okay, don't walk into a wall. Go through the doors. Go through the windows. Go where there's an opening. Find that opportunity that's going to make a difference for you. I'm real big on if you have a problem, don't dwell on your problem. Dwell on the solution.
Now, another thing that I thought was really interesting in your chapter for the Quantum Leap My Life book was you talked a lot about how different people have different communication styles or, talk to us about that, about how like one person might find their breakthrough being on stage, but another person might find it through song. You're an expert in communication, so talk to us about this and how it varies for different people.
Well, it does. There's one story I just loved. I don't know if you know who Mel Tillis is. Mel Tillis was a famous singer, and he stuttered, but he was a fabulous singer, and that's the way he communicated. He had a hard time talking, and so I remember one story he said, and this was on Johnny Carson's show, on the Tonight Show, and I remember him saying that he was in the house with a friend, and it was late at night, and somebody broke into the house. And he did not know how to express it. He got so panicked and so afraid, his stuttering power came back out. And all I could think about is he couldn't say anything until all of a sudden he said, there's a robber in the house. Get out now. Get out now. There's a robber in the house. Call 911. Call 911. All I could do was sing. All I could do was sing it, and it came very clearly. So that was his communication. I know. I just like, oh my gosh, it was amazing when he did it, and I laughed too. But it works for people. You have to find what works for you. And some people find it through music. Some people find their communication through arts. Some people find that they just really need basically to learn how to communicate more properly. And because it is a learned skill. And whether they're working in a boardroom with a team, because there's different ways to approach teams opposed to being a leader. And leaders, just so many leaders do not have appropriate communication. But they don't have that one-on-one, that rapport that they need to have. And so there's different ways and techniques that can make a difference for you to be a positive leader that comes with better results in the long run, which means more productive, programs and more productive feelings with the people that you're working with. So with the styles, you understand what style works best for you. And there's different personality assessments that help you understand different people's personalities that I also do as part of an experiential program I do with these different assessments. And understanding, are you an extrovert? Are you an introvert? Are you intuitive? Are you sensing? Are you more of a thinker? Are you more of a, a realistic, a judger? Are you more of a creator? What is it that you are? And you need to understand that somebody else may not be that same way. And I have a girlfriend I have to tell you about. She's wonderful. She would give the shirt off her back to help anybody. She's just a sweetheart. But I remember her telling me that when she was in her zone at work, she had a high-powered management position where she did a lot of troubleshooting. And so her concentration was very much on what she was doing. And she told me about this one gentleman, kind of a small-framed fellow, that came to the door and asked her a question. And she pretty much snapped without even thinking. It's like, what do you want? And she said she turned around and she realized his knees were shaking. Her tone, and that's what communication is about too, it's part of tone, made such an impact on him that she scared him so much he felt like he couldn't even talk to her. She realized after that, because of where she's coming from and where he was coming from were two different realms, and she needed to realize when she was in that zone in her head and what she was doing, that she needed to have a sign on the door, unless death, for safety reasons, this is not a good time to approach her. She also knew that when somebody did approach her, before she needed to react, she needed to stop, turn away, and maybe count to 10, and then she was able to formulate more of a clear understanding of a sentence to give to that person in a better communicatable way.
And actually, you bring up a really good point, and that is, lately I've noticed that you can get into a lot of trouble with email communication and text message communication, that kind of thing. What I've been noticing is some of my clients, for instance, use their cell phones a lot to check their emails. And so they will sort of like put through these really short, sharp commands because they're using a cell phone, which other people will take offense to. And then it'll escalate very quickly, and then I'll get called in to help, mediate. And so I started to notice this happening quite a bit, and I'm thinking that we have a whole new type of communication that we have to deal with, which is, and you see people on Facebook talking about this a lot, can I defriend this person because they said this or that, or, what's the etiquette around, so now we've got all these other forms of communication to deal with, as well as as you say, the rapport, making sure that you're in rapport with someone, and making sure that your tonality is, intentional and that kind of thing. So,
absolutely.
So talk to us about all the different new mediums of communication too that people have to think about.
Well, absolutely, on what you're saying is true. And these emails or these text messages, some of them are so cryptic, but even on emails, I have so many stories, and that's something I will tell on my webinar, and I also will do at the 2-day events, because again, I like to help people not do the mistakes I've made, because I've done some of these big mistakes without realizing. Has anybody out there ever pressed a respond button and you sent it and you thought it was going to the person you wanted the response to go, and it went back to a person you did not want it to go to? I have done that, and boy, did I have to backpedal. Oh my gosh. And you need to understand that different companies may have their own jargon that other people don't recognize, and the different acronyms for different things. And I'll give you one example on this. I had a close friend, and I got so offended because I thought I couldn't, and I hope everybody's going to understand this in good taste, okay? Because I took it personally that she sent me an email, and I was doing everything to help her, and she kept asking me the same thing over, and I kept saying, finally, I said, that last email has it very detailed. Please look at that last email. And the last thing she said was, thank you for the FU. And I was, what? I said, what? I looked at my email. I said, thank you for the FU. And I thought, and that doesn't sound great, okay? And I asked my sisters, is there any way to think of this?
And she didn't mean follow up, right?
That's exactly what she meant. And I was like, and she's in the nursing area, and when we talked about it,
she did mean follow up.
She did. She hadn't. She goes. She says, "How could you even think that? I would even say that if you were being so nice." But I did not know the lingo of that particular industry. They just automatically send out, because FU is always, this is your follow up. This is your follow up. Just like in my industry, education. Yeah. The education, I said to my one sister that really was not in education, I said to her about the EOPS and the DSPS, and she goes, what are these different acronyms? It became a natural language to me in counseling and in the education, for the disabled services programs, and also for the extended opportunities programs. I knew what they were, but they didn't. So you have to be real clear on when you're sending emails or interviews. I'm really big on talking about people how to nail your interview, because people need to know that you talk the language of where you're going. Don't talk language that these people are not going to understand, or it'll confuse them and it'll turn them off.
Yeah, I often have to translate, even though we're all speaking English. I'm dealing with people from all different countries, and they have a lot of their own terminologies. Right. So for instance, one of our speakers, she'll be talking about weight, and she'll be using the terminology stones as opposed to pounds, which you would use in the States, or kilos that we would use here in Australia. Just a little thing that can easily throw somebody off who's listening, and they'd go, what is that? Right?
Yes, exactly.
So,
exactly.
The other thing that that you bring up is that, this big thing that you and I have had problems with, which is the difference between what an entrepreneur wants on a website, for instance, and what a techie or a web designer, how they want you to communicate to them in their language.
Right. And a good portion of your people are not techie. And so when something across, they want what they want, and it seems like techie people want what they want. And the bottom line is that you need to really be able to communicate what it is you need. It is your website or your program, and that person on the other end needs to be able to go along with what you need and understand what it is that you need may not be what they want. But that's not the problem that you have. It's their problem, because they're not supposed to be doing what they want. They're supposed to be giving you what you want, because you're the one who hired them. And I remember furniture, and I did interior design for a period of time. And with that, I remember people were saying, how come you're doing so well and I'm having a hard time? Because again, that's communication. Listening to the person, finding out what they want, what they like. Not telling them you need this and this is the color you should go with because that's what I like. And that's what so many people do.
I have a classic story about that. Like I went in to buy back. I was doing a course about millionaire thinking, and it was time to upgrade my car. And I thought that I would like to start living into my millionaire dream. And the Mercedes dealership were having a sale, and I went in my 4-wheel drive to buy a convertible. And the salesman took one look at my 4-wheel drive, and he started trying to talk me into a new 4-wheel drive. Well, I ended up leaving. I was committed to buying the car when I went in.
Uh-huh.
I was looking for a change in lifestyle. I knew what I wanted.
Sure.
And we're talking about a very expensive car here. And I ended up leaving with no car because the salesman was so convinced. So he asked me all the standard questions like, does anybody else have to be involved in this decision? And I was like, no, only me. Well, who's going to be in the car? I said, just me and the kids, and he was like, he made an assumption in his mind that I was a single mother and that it would be irresponsible of him to let me buy that convertible, you know?
Yep.
So he actually sabotaged the sale
Yes, he did.
for both of us.
He didn't do the main thing he should have done, and that was listen to you. And that doesn't mean listen to just hear. It's listening for understanding
Yeah.
to you.
So, and how often do we do that and then wonder why we're not, cracking goals in our business?
It's very true. I just think that people, when they're out there, they need to be very authentic. Be who you are and show what it is you need. And people need to be able to accept that and understand that. And don't compromise who you are. Because so many people think, well, maybe if I go this way or if I go that way, people are going to either like me better or I'll have bigger success. They're trying to be something they aren't. Always try to be who you are. And that's because you are, again, that unique self of you. So be yourself and listen to what that other person wants. Listen and for understanding. And if you're not real sure, get the clarity, get feedback from them. A big part of learning is actually through nonverbal, more than the verbal. So much of it's through the body language and gestures that we really have a lot of communication. I loved with Dan Oswald, who is a business writer and a blogger. He said this HOT. He had the acronym HOT, HOT. And he says, if you're just honest, open, and make it a two-way thing, it's going to be such a much better communication success for you.
And I was listening to some not-for-profits talking the other day on the radio about what they look for when they're looking to invest in a community. And I thought this was very interesting. They will actually measure trust in a community before they decide if they're going to invest in that in those people. Because if there's a trusting relationship within the community, say between the local government and the farmers, that kind of thing, they know they can actually move that community faster forward than if they're starting out with a community that has massive disparity.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's the same when we're doing business too. If we get to be known as a person who can be trusted, even when the obstacles come up, we will actually just do what we have to do to move those obstacles to look after our clients and that kind of thing. Then eventually your reputation starts to precede you. You start getting referral, all that kind of stuff. It really helps you grow. It becomes almost momentous, doesn't it?
Yes, it does. Communication is one of the most powerful things you can do to be successful. Strong, effective communication.
And that whole thing of being honest and authentic. And I had a really interesting conversation with Leo Wilcox, who's also in the summit, and he was saying he's been having fantastic success getting celebrity endorsements for his books. And I've been asking him what was his secret, and he said, well, I tried all the things that the experts tell you to do, but then I started just being myself. He started just like calling them, telling them how much he's really enjoyed their work, how much they've impacted him. And he's been just getting fantastic results with unbelievable people saying yes to giving him an endorsement. And he said really that it was really just about being himself and trusting that process.
Well, yes, and then also having the courage and the confidence to approach these people, because so many people don't do that. They think these people are untouchable, and they aren't. They're human and they really do enjoy people as well. So a lot of times your celebrities are they're willing to, but people are afraid to approach them.
Amazing. Yeah. I mean, you would know because you've met so many celebrities. So if you wanted to get involved with celebrities, say do a project and get a celebrity, what would be your approach, knowing what you know?
To get in with celebrities?
To have them say, come and speak at your event or endorse your book or, maybe let you do an interview with them.
Well, to me, the best way is, again, not just approach them and say, hey, I'm doing something, I would like to have you come on my show or whatever. Again, it's building up that relationship. And so it's having some kind of contact with them. If I want to meet somebody, I'm going to be in their area. I'm going to find out where they're at, and I'm going to make sure that I'm around so that I can meet them. And then have a conversation with them in some way. So in other words, put yourself in a position where you have the opportunity to be around that person. People are very approachable if you approach them in a not eager piranha type of a way.
Non-threatening.
Non-threatening. If you come and approach them in a way that is appreciative, and like Glenn Morshower is a good friend. You know who Glenn Morshower is? Most people will recognize him from the hit series 24. Do you remember that show with Kiefer Sutherland? Yeah, that he was Pierce Brosnan's on, and he's on all of the. I'm saying Pierce Brosnan. Listen to me talking about that. He was Eric Pierce on that show. And I've got Pierce Brosnan on my mind right now.
Well, who doesn't?
Anyway, I know he's a cutie pie. Anyway, but he's fabulous. I love him. And because I was at a program where he was at, I've gotten to know him. And so we are on Facebook together. We have a relationship. He knows me personally. I know him personally. I know his wife. We know his family. He just has become a really important person because of just building up a relationship. Now I ask him, and he'll come on my radio show. He'll talk to me. He gives me information. He has a program. Not only is he a fabulous actor that's just always working. He did Moneyball with Brad Pitt. He does all the Transformers. He's the spokesperson for Universal Studios with the Transformer program. He just finished a movie with Tom Hanks. He's working all the time.
Wow.
But he always has time for people. He always has time because he is a real human being. He really cares, and he has a program that he speaks on called Go the Extra Mile. It's called The Extra Mile. And he is just one of heart. And there's so many people like that, and people don't realize that these celebrities are approachable.
Well, I had on my bucket list that I really wanted to meet George Clooney, and I did have the opportunity to meet him. When I met him, and because I was aware, I set that awareness and intention, Right. And then when the opportunity came up, I made sure I was there. I did get to meet him. He was wonderful, and I'm now working on a project where I'd like to support him in a thing that he's doing where he's as a satellite. What George Clooney is really passionate about is reporting on warlords, and he can't get enough media for it. So there are ways, even with the most inaccessible people, that you can get access if you're of service, right?
Absolutely. And you can find out what is it that they like doing? Where do they like to go? What is it their like humanitarian interest might be? I love Goldie Hawn and Kurt Russell, and big thing that they really are advocates for education. So that's a clue right there. Going to different things. Now, if somebody wants a celebrity, they can go over to Screen Actors Guild, and they can find out what programs are going there, so they can go to the same time when those people are at all these different programs. So you find out what charity events are at, what programs they're going to be involved in, where is their next speaking engagement. You can find these things, and these are the ways to connect with them. And that's how I always got with people. And just like Facebook, I can't tell you how many celebrities have friended me. I've asked them, liked, and then I'm on their list. And then there's a rapport that we have because you make conversations. Dennis Quaid has twins. Well, I have a twin sister. Do you think we have something in common? So find things that you have in commonality with that person. And talk about that. Don't talk about you. Talk about what they're interested in.
Well, Melody, that's wonderful advice. So now how can people get on your list so they can get access when you run that program? They come over to melodykeymerharper.com.
Yes.
And join your mailing list, sign up, and get the free chapter. Tell us about your chapter of the book.
Oh, that's all about communication and how to make an impact, how to have the message that you need to come across so that people will really resonate with you and your programs, your products, whatever it is that you're trying to get your message across. So it's giving the steps on how to better yourself, how to feel confident, how to come out and be the best you can possibly be, and the authentic you, finding your uniqueness, and just making an impact through communication. Because communication is, again, one of the strongest things you're going to do to be successful. I'll give you a hint that I will say on my programs, and that's partly if you're going out for any kind of an interview or you're wanting to make an approach to somebody, The communication is what's going to make a difference for them accepting you or not accepting you. I'll give you an example. On interviews, people out there in the community that are hiring are looking for people that have the chemistry that are going to be a good fit for them as well as for the people that they're going to be working with. Somebody can come in with really strong skills, but if they can't communicate well and somebody else comes in with okay skills, but they're trainable, they're going to take that person because they can communicate better and they feel like they won't have problems with that person. They're going to get along, and it's going to be a much better and easier situation for the whole company. So communication is really powerful, and that's what this chapter is all about, how you can make a difference with your communication and the confidence that you need to make a difference in your life.
So our call to action for you all listening is go over, sign up, get on Melody's list, and watch her roll this business out, because this is a great time to get involved with Melody's community. She's just starting putting out all her trainings. If you're an author and you're interested in also becoming a speaker, or you're a speaker and you're interested in becoming an author, this is a great opportunity to see how Melody does it. And she is so talented in everything that she has to share. So, Melody, thank you for being a part of the Quantum Leap My Life book, and also for being in the Expert Success Summit.
Well, thank you, Sania. It's been an honor and a privilege, and I can't tell you how wonderful it's been. Nice, to work with you.
Oh, thank you.
You're so professional in every way. You're so helpful. You are there for everyone, and I can't tell you how much I appreciate all the support you've given to me. You've just been incredible, and this book has been wonderful. I love it, and I just know it's going to be a big success, and it'll help many, many people. And your summit is going to be such a pleasure to be a part of. And,
thank
and I
you.
know there's so many wonderful speakers there, too.
And I can't wait for us to go and start running some events together in the new year. So
I love it. I'm going to Australia.
Yeah, come over.
You go to California, I go to Australia.
It's on the agenda. Let's do it.
I love it.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you for joining us for the call. Hope you got great value. Go on over to melodykeymerharper.com and friend her on Facebook too, because she's going to be putting out a lot of great information, and has been and will continue to do so. So yes, thank you, Melody, and everybody will see you on the next call. Thank you.
Love it. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.